Alright, we can start. You want to do the introductions?
No, you do it.
Okay. Hello. I'm Alex, and this is Eddie, and we're going to be presenting how to build real-time collaborative applications. And a little bit about who.
Hold on. Oh, did you start the Zoom recording?
I think it started automatically. Oh. It is recording.
Okay.
Perfect.
Awesome.
But yeah, so we'll get started with some quick introductions. ICSSC, or ICS Student Council, is the student council for the School of ICS on campus. And our overall goal is to improve student life at the School of ICS. And more specifically, me and Eddie are from projects. So we help maintain a lot of student-run projects such as Almanac and Peter Portal and Zommeal and a bunch of other projects you may be familiar with.
Yeah, so projects is just one of the many committees that ICS Student Council has. We also have academic and alumni affairs, corporate outreach, events, and graphics and PR.
Yeah, overall, we're a pretty big organization. And yeah, definitely look into it more if you're interested in getting involved in ICS clubs.
Yeah, but more on today's topic.
So jumping into what real-time collaboration actually is if you're familiar with like Google Docs or Google Slides, you'll know that multiple users can edit the same content at once. And that's something that's really powerful because it allows you to digitally connect your users regardless if they're very far away. So this essentially real-time allows our applications to bring our users together and let them interact with the same content simultaneously, regardless if they're nearby or far apart. And today we'll cover some of the basic technical aspects that allow this to work, and then give you a more practical demo on how to implement this within the time frame of a hackathon without having to worry about all the technical details. So starting with WebSockets, traditionally, content is served from a server to your client, and it's a one-way stream. But WebSockets allows your client and server to communicate with bidirectionally. So the client can send messages to the server, and the server can send messages to the client. And this is particularly useful when you have to stream updates from other users to between users. Yeah, so here's, I guess, a quick diagram. So for example, if we had user 1 and user 2, both of them can establish a WebSocket connection with the server. And this will allow both users to communicate with the server, and then the server can also communicate with both users. So a more practical explanation of this is, for example, if I started editing a form, let's say I started editing a doc, my computer would send that update to the server, and then the server would send it to all the other users. Yeah, essentially allowing my updates to be seen in real time for all of the users.
Yeah.
And part of what allows this to work under the hood is CRDTs, so conflict-free replicated data types, which is a big mouthful, is essentially what allows us to merge edits without having conflicts. So this is very similar to merging commits if you've used Git before. So I have a quick example. So let's say we have the blue user and the red user, starting with the text BC. So can you guys see my cursor? Oh, perfect. So at this point right here, the blue user adds the letter D at the end. And in this example, the white is the server. So after the blue user adds the letter D, it sends that update to the server. And you can see the server updates the state to BCD. And then it'll also propagate those updates to all users, in this case, the red server, the red user. But before that update gets there, the red user adds the letter A at the beginning of the string. So the CRDT allows the red client to know that because it added the letter A before it received the update for D, the total string becomes ABCD instead of just BCD. So if we use the strategy of the client trusting exactly exactly the content that the server provides, you would expect the red to think that the current text is BCD, which would be inaccurate because it made an edit before the server before the update arrived to the red user. And similarly, when the red user adds the letter A at the beginning, that update gets sent to the server and then sent to the blue client. Because blue doesn't make an update before that happens, there really isn't anything special happening here. Most of the magic is right here at the very top, where the red is able to both make an update before it receives blue's edits and then successfully merge blue's edit into the final result. So I've probably lost everyone in the room here. But thankfully, you don't really have to fully understand this to be able to implement this into your application.
Right. I just want to add the reason CRDTs are so powerful is because the instances don't need to talk to each other. There's like a centralized source, and there are no conflicts. Unlike Git, and we all love merge conflicts, so the no conflicts part is also really nice. If you've ever used the Notes app if you have an iOS device, iPad OS, or Apple device, that under the hood that uses CRDTs to sync offline notes. Google Docs actually does not use CRDTs. They use something different called operational transform, which is very much beyond the scope of this workshop, but also worth looking into if you maybe want to make your app a bit more robust and you think you can do it within the hackathon. I don't think I could, but yeah.
Does anyone have any questions so far? Maybe anything we can clear up that we haven't described fully? I know we've been going kind of fast, but since there's only a few of us in the room, I guess we can be a little more interactive. Yeah.
So I assume that like they separate it by timestamp, right? So they use timestamp to determine which operation to use.
Some CRDTs do use timestamp based synchronization.
It depends.
Yes. So that's the easy answer. Yes.
Yeah.
What happens if both people put
A? It also depends on the implementation, but in this case, if this was just a string, like just a series of like letters, likely, I guess the correct approach would be to have two A's, because both people technically added an A. So I guess in some sense, you can think of, instead of changing the text from BC to BCD, you're adding a D and then adding an A, rather than changing the entire string as a whole. Anyone else? Yep.
What is the alternative if they don't use the timestamp to resolve the order?
There's a CRDT called last write wins. So basically, I mean, it's what it says on the tin, the very last person to send a request, and you don't need a timestamp, it's just based on when the server receives it. The last write will win. So let's say if you have like two users writing different letters to the same position, like at the start of the string, whoever sends the request last determines like what the string looks like. So let's say if you have a user writing A and a user writing D to the same position, it could end up as like ADBC or DABC. It depends on the implementation, also when the requests are sent. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, a lot of real-time applications also lock individual input fields. So unless you're dealing with a large block of text where you need to handle two users editing the same block of text, an easier approach would just be to lock the field for all other users until someone is done editing. I believe this is what Google Sheets does. where only one user can edit a cell at a time. But yeah, so the service we'll be explaining also handles all of this. So hopefully you won't have to worry about this. And I guess just to touch on your question about timestamps a little bit more, another issue with that, if you use the timestamp approach, is you have to trust the client to have an accurate time, which is often not the case.
Yeah, like local clock drift is a very real phenomenon. It's like if if the CMOS battery that your computer is using is like low on voltage, then it's gonna
Yep.
cause all sorts
You
of
feel
issues.
timestamps, you trust the server client, not the local client, right?
Yeah, so that's what last write wins would be, essentially, like when it arrives.
Rather than like
Yeah.
having the client say, "Oh, I sent this edit at such and such a time." Last write wins, which is be server side.
Yeah. If there aren't any more questions, we'll move on to our quick demo. Yeah,
It should be.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so one of the most complete real-time as a service platforms is LiveBlocks, and they have very nice JavaScript and React, Angular, and Svelte, I believe, SDKs. So LiveBlocks will allow you to implement real-time functionality into your application without worrying about all the technical details we just covered. So if you didn't, yeah?
Software development kit. It's like a set of tools that so LiveBlocks is a platform, right? And they provide a set of tools that help you develop with their platform. That's an SDK.
Yeah.
You can think of it as like a toolbox.
Basically, it's code that's written for you that you can import into your application and then use. So if you didn't understand anything we said over the past couple slides, that's okay. Just know that you can still implement real-time functionality into your app and I guess also be eligible for our prize category. But yeah, so we'll cover a little bit of the code that's required to implement LiveBlocks. And hopefully this should give you a sense of the simplicity of it, hopefully. But yeah, we can see that at the very top of this code block, we're importing the create client and live list function and class from LiveBlocks client. Also, to clarify, this is a JavaScript example. And our slides will also be available after if you want to reference this in the future. But yeah, from lines 3 to 5, we are creating a new LiveBlocks client with our API key, which you can obtain your own of by signing up. And then on line 7 through 10, we are entering the room with a specific ID with some presence data and a storage mechanism. And this, yeah.
To elaborate, like a room in LiveBlocks is, kind of like what you may associate with like a Google Doc or a chat room. It's just in like a very abstract object that users can connect to and update the state of.
Yeah, so you can decide what a room is in your project. So for example, if I'm building a project where multiple people plan out a vacation, you can maybe create a new vacation and then anyone that's viewing that specific itinerary is in a room. And similarly with Google Docs, a specific document is a room. With Google Sheets, each sheet is a room. But yeah, so you can see that on line 7, we're entering the room from our client with a specific room ID. So this will be a unique identifier that's correlated to some data you have. And then each user also has a presence. So this indicates, similarly to a real room, if the user is in the room and their current state. So presence data is useful because it's temporary. You don't save it, but this could correlate to your cursor position, if you're active, or for example, that's pretty much what it's used for. And yeah, this storage mechanism is just, in this storage mechanism, we're saying that there's a to-dos list with a new live list, and that's just LiveBlocks data structure for a list.
Yeah, it's a CRGT specifically that represents like a list of objects.
Yeah. And then afterwards, we're going to subscribe to the room. And we're going to say that basically we're listening for when other people join the room, we'll update the number of users in the room. So in the HTML corresponding to this example, we have who is here element. And we just set the inner HTML or the text of that element to there are blank people in this room. And when someone is typing, we set the text to say someone is typing. But yeah, so this code example isn't perfect because I just kind of took little bits and pieces, but hopefully this gives you a sense of setting up your client, joining a room, and listening to other events.
Yeah, and the full demo code is available, among other things, on the live blogs documentation if you want to have like a starting point for your own real-time application.
Yeah, and also Eddie and I will be here
Yes.
for at least a little bit more, and I'll be here. I'll be checking Slack. So if you decide to try this for yourself, feel free to message us.
Yeah.
And so now that we've instantiated our room or created our room, joined it, and are listening to events, we now want to send events. So what happens when we start typing? We want other people to see that we're typing. So we can see that if the, here, let me, oh, there's no toolbar on this one. Okay, well, the code will be a little blurred, but hopefully you guys can still see that when we start typing, if the key is enter, we just ignore it. And if it's not enter, we set our presence to is typing to be true. So as you remember, hopefully it was clear earlier that your presence is just an object with your state. So for example, you can have an is typing, is active, and these can just be true or false or pretty much any other value. And then when things change on your client, you can update your presence. So it's almost like raising your hand, for example. That could be a good example. So if your presence is hand raised false and you want to put your hand up, you can click a button and then change hand raised to be true. But yeah. Any questions on how creating a room works and sending and listening to events?
For this typing attribute, is it built in or is it declared?
It's declared when you create the room. You have the initial presence. It should be in the second highlight. Yeah, you have initial presence. That just like sets the like default presence for any new user that joins the room. You can set that to whatever you want. Like Alex said, you could have it be like hand raised equals.
Yeah, presence can be any object essentially. Yeah. So you can define any properties you want. So is typing is not a default or special value. It's just a random name we picked.
I see. Is it like omen or some truthy or falsy thing? Like when it's empty, represents false.
Sorry, could you say that again?
Yeah, so for the value in there, it has to be a boolean value.
No.
It can be literally any object containing anything you want. It's just like
presence could be like a name is Alex, for example, as a string.
Yeah, just think of like an object, like a key value set of key value pairs that describe like info that's relevant to the current user. You could have a name, you'd have like their location.
Yeah. It's anything that's a temporary state in your application should belong in presence. Yeah. Yeah.
Is this only possible in JavaScript?
No, they should have libraries for, let's see. I'm sure we can figure this out right now. They have libraries for oh, they do not have a Python library. So they have a JavaScript library, they have a React library, a Redux library, which is a React state library. Whatever this is, I think
that's another state management library.
And also for Node.js and a REST API. So actually, it might only be possible for JavaScript unless you implement directly with their API, which
is a bit rough.
Yeah, I thought they had. Oh, okay. I guess I was mistaken. But yeah, I'll double check with that after our workshop and send a message about that.
Yeah, like there might be a third-party API for other languages, but I believe like their main language is just JavaScript/TypeScript, which is like makes sense.
Oh.
Modern day web dev.
But yeah, if you guys want to scan this QR code, hopefully that works. You can actually join our to-do list and add some to-dos. Tiffany, scan the QR code. But yeah, you can see the application that, oh, hopefully I'll keep that up for a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's a bit small, but in the top right-ish corner, you should be able to see a number. That's the number of people currently connected to the room. So that was implemented. And if anyone types, oh, you should see, yeah, someone is typing. There you go.
Yeah, so we can see, oh, no one's typing right now, but there are 6 people that have joined. And so, for example, I could write like, study for her final, and that'll go on our to-do list. And also we can delete a specific, I'll delete my to-do, and that will update on all your devices. But yeah, so this was the demo code this is the demo for the code we were looking at earlier. So we can see the someone is typing aspect of it where we sent that event and listened to it. We can also see there are blank other users in the room, and we can see the list with our data. Oh, I guess you can, interesting. I don't know what happened there, but yeah.
No, I think you just add empty to-do items.
Oh, you can just add empty ones?
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, anyways, we'll cover some of the details of our prize category. So corresponding to our workshop, there is a best real-time collaboration hack. And the prizes are these metal like kits that you can build. And each person in the winning team, gets the metal International Space Station and metal space shuttle. Yes. And yeah, so, oh shoot, I actually forgot to bring them today. But yeah, so hopefully we see a lot of real-time implementations in your applications. And also as a reminder, you can be considered for our prize category in addition to the core categories and alongside the other optional categories. So there's no harm in adding adding this functionality to your app and selecting the prize category. It won't hurt your chances for any other prize category. But yeah, I was told to add this QR code, and it should take you to a form for raffles or something like that. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming.
Is that the same QR code?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just checking.
And if you still need the QR code, it's on the top right.
All right, thank you all for coming out.
Thank you. Any final questions? Also, are we doing the
T-shirt raffle right now?
Okay, so don't leave yet.
Wait, can you guys go to the booth?
Yeah.
Thank you.
How do you connect this? Oh, sure. Oh, wait, okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm really interested in graphic design.
Good job, Alex.
Do you know like what kind of tools going to go in?
I think that's.
Is
that everyone?
Their website is
That's
built.
everyone. Oh, okay. Take your time.
Probably. That would be my assumption.
That's great.
Thanks.
Where's his?
Oh, so I could
It's okay. I need to go home and print the placards. What placards?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's more
Second,
you really like it.
first, you walk in the architecture to the left. Okay.
Is everyone good?
Alright.
Yeah.
Rigid.
Oh, okay, okay. Take your time, take your time.
It's not the entire.
Wait, can we just unplug it?
Are you presenting, Kristen?
No, I'm not.
Oh. What is this?
Oh, it's a giveaway at the end.
Question?
7 people?
Yeah, sure, I guess anyhow. As long as you don't have to
Are you guys
reload the
done?
page to view the
Are you guys
messages,
done?
I think we'd be fine. I think they should actually have an example on their site. So if you are planning on using red blocks, are you?
They're doing the raffle right now.
You guys have that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I think they do have an example for messaging. You can definitely use live blocks for messaging. That seems like one of the more basic examples. But let us see if they have a purpose-built example.
They do examples.
Oh, comments. This would probably be what you're looking for. But yeah, so oh, sorry.
What is this? Free
But yeah, so are you using a like React or anything? Okay, perfect. So this is actually a Next.js example, but it should be pretty relevant too. So we can see that we have a thread component. If I take a look at this, let's see where this is coming from. Oh, okay. So we have a thread component somewhere, and where is this use threads coming from? Can I not search? Interesting. But yeah, so it seems like they have a thread like hook that allows you to have a string of messages. So it seems like they have something like natively built in from LiveBlock. So this is actually in use in the config. So let's see where they're exporting this. They're exporting use threads and
Or would you want to just go to my table, or do you guys need to go or whatever?
Yeah, we can help you at your table. But yeah, so there's some like built-in like hook to create a thread that will allow you to just have an array of all your messages. And yeah, so like
And then what the
should update. Yeah, there you go.
to like make it like more message like instead of comments, when we just like format it so it's like one on this side and one on that side or something like
Yeah,
that.
you
or,
can
like,
just
how it-
format it somehow. You can like see, you can probably have like you can just check maybe if the message is from the current user, and then like if it's from the current user, just put it on the right side. And it seems like they also have like a threading mechanism. So like you can reply to messages too, I guess, which is kind of cool. There's probably a way to ignore that if you don't want that. But yeah, it seems like it can cover that use case.
If we're like using that, like, do you just like copy and paste the code, or like how does that work?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
I
what
have,
table are you at?
I think we're at 84 or something.
Okay.
But if I have questions, can I also just Slack? Or
Yeah.
something? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so
Yep.
much.
Thanks for coming. Did they seriously not? I swear they had different like languages, or maybe they just have a lot
Bro,
of
it started in
libraries.
2021. People probably don't know that.
What? What is mine? Oh no.